Yeah, come on, yeah.
North Korea is a country on the axis of evil due to the deprivation of natural rights and liberties to its citizens. Led by Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, following his father, Kim Jong-il, and the original president and his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, is a country full of propaganda to its people. It is extremely secluded from the rest of the world, so it is very difficult to obtain information on it. From people who have successfully fled the country, we know that behind the scenes of the bright lights of Pyongyang, North Korea's capital, there is evidence of poverty, famine, and labor camps, all the effects of a poor government. However, the citizens do not know that their government is poor because they are taught from a young age that theirs is the greatest in the world and that the United States is evil. But why do they think the United States is evil? First, let's start with a brief history of the country. Korea was annexed by Japan in 1910, but after Japanese surrender to the Allied powers in 1945, at the end of World War II, Korea divided into two zones, a northern Soviet zone, which was named North Korea, and a southern zone controlled by the United States, which was named the United States Army Military Government in Korea. During the Potsdam Conference of 1945 following World War II, both the Soviet Union and the United States had hopes for reunification and joint occupation of Korea. However, Cold War politics broke out and Korea became divided along the 38th parallel. After 2 years, US forces began to withdraw from South Korea, encouraging the South to become an independent state. The Republic of Korea was formed in August 1948 in the South. At the same time, Kim Il-sung was proclaimed leader of North Korea in September of 1948, with the Soviet Union supporting Sung's power over the entire Korean peninsula. After receiving Stalin's permission, Kim Il-sung invaded the South, starting the Korean War. Following President Truman's containment policy, Truman ordered US forces to help cover Korean troops in the South. North Korea captured Seoul as their first task and pushed south all the way to Busan. However, General Douglas MacArthur's tactics forced North Korea to retreat all the way across the 38th parallel and almost to China. From here, China entered the war on the North Korean side, forcing US troops to retreat all the way back to the 38th parallel. This is where North and South Korean forces reached a stalemate with little territorial exchange. This carried on for 2 years until diplomats reached agreements on an armistice to stop fighting, without a formal peace treaty. Peace talks at Peace Village on the 38th parallel and in Geneva failed. Then the Korean War just ended. Now let's take a look at that territorial exchange again. That's right. Nothing happened in 3 years of fighting. This is where things start to get hazy. Views on the war differed drastically between the North and the South, because both thought that they had won the war. Both the North and the South aimed to build two distinct societies, separated by a heavily armed border called the Demilitarized Zone. Ironically named because it's the most heavily militarily guarded border in the world, with thousands of landmines and military patrolling the area, even to this day. Some more minor examples of feuds between the North and South can be seen from across the border. In the 1980s, South Korean government built a flagpole that was 323 feet tall. In response, North Korea built a flagpole that was 525 feet tall, right across the border. There are also loudspeaker broadcasts that have been blasting propaganda over the border from both sides. They did cease for a while, but when North Korea tested its first hydrogen bomb in 2016, South Korea got even louder loudspeakers. The last disheartening example of propaganda over the border includes the city of Gyeongdong in North Korea, which was constructed immediately after the Korean War. Over the border, it looked like a society of the future to South Korea, when it's really just an empty city with unused buildings to give the illusion of a well-off country in the north. This propaganda is essentially what North Korea is built off of. After the war, Kim Il-sung brought the North Korean state out of a severe depression fairly quickly. and he introduced the Juche philosophy of self-reliance to them. Under Kim Il-sung, the North Korean economy flourished in the 50s and 60s. He was regarded as a hero to the North Korean people as he built the cult of personality among the Korean citizens. With this godlike status, he was able to reform education and history of his country to his liking, without any outside forces to tell him otherwise. Korean citizens are taught to believe that the United States invaded North Korea first, and that Kim Il-sung helped North Korea to win the war. The economy in the South after the war was at a complete collapse. Many people relied on foreign food donations. Syngman Rhee, South Korean leader, was declared a fraud after rigged elections for a third term as president. Seeing South Korea fail gave North Korea a sense of pride throughout the entire country. After the resignation of Rhee, new South Korean President Park Chung-hee took over as President of South Korea, overseeing export-led economic growth, something non-existent in North Korea. Since these changes were implemented, South Korea has had an upward trend of economic growth. Across the border, North Korean self-reliance was starting to prove harmful to the state of the country. With the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, there became no communist help to turn to, and China started to improve relations with the West. With no one to turn to, Kim Il-sung re-emphasized his Juche idea and aimed to run a self-sufficient country. This obviously didn't work, and North Korea started a sharp decline in economy, resulting in a famine, causing the death of 1,500,000 people. Even North Korea allowed the United Nations to bring food rations into the country. During this time, Kim Il-sung's health deteriorated, and Kim Jong-il became leader of North Korea. Under Kim Jong-il, North Korea would begin to test its first nuclear weapons, aimed at South Korea. Instead of helping the country with the famine, Kim Jong-un spent government money on military and on political prison camps, where people who speak out against the government are subject to systematic abuse and deadly living conditions. Due to precedent set by Kim Jong-il's ruling, many North Koreans try to defect to South Korea each year. After Kim Jong-il's unexpected death in 2011, his son Kim Jong-un came into power, continuing the same propaganda tactics as his father. As of today, they continue threats of war against the United States. So why does North Korea want to bomb the United States and South Korea so badly? Well, I think this quote by President Obama sums it up well. Today, the Korean Peninsula provides the world's clearest contrast between a society that is open and a society that is closed, between a nation that is dynamic and growing and a government that would rather starve its people than change. It's a contrast so stark you can see it from space, as the brilliant lights of Seoul give away the utter darkness in the north. North Korea is a country that has been built on the unwillingness to change, while the world around it is growing at an extreme rate today. Unable to admit its struggles, North Korea feels that the only way to get even with the rest of the world is through force, like a bomb.
눈이 부시